The month of March is here, and the madness is near. You may be confused on how is it near, because March Madness basketball already started. Well, I'm not talking about college basketball. I'm talking about some good old-fashioned college hockey. Welcome back to Penn State Sports Night. I'm Matt Becker, joined alongside Anthony Desher and Josh Bartosik, and today we will discuss the 2024 NCAA hockey tournament. With the release of the brackets, some people may be wondering how teams get selected. One way to do it is to outright win your conference, and we have 6 amazing teams that stuck out and did just that. Anthony, let's start with you.
Well, you said 6. Let's just do 3 for right now. I'm going to start with Michigan State because the Sparty's not over up there in East Lansing. I mean, you have Artem Levshinov, who's become one of the best young defensemen in the country, all Big Ten first team. He looks to be one of the best freshmen in all of college. I mean, you want depth scoring from Michigan State? You got it. You want some high-end talent, you got it as well, because Trey Augustine between the pipes, he doesn't let goals in. You saw it during the World Junior Championship. He's made for these short games, one-series games. He can steal plenty of them. That's what he's been doing these last 2 series. I mean, Michigan State, a very good team with Joey Larson and Carson Dorwart, and can't forget about the Iceman, Isaac Howard. Those guys are just really fun out there on the ice, and what they did in the Big Ten tournament to put the cherry on top of a very good dominant season was just really fun to watch.
Yeah, Michigan State was expected to win that tournament. I'm going to go over to the NCHC, which is where Omaha won that tournament. Not expected to. They had to go through a gauntlet to get there. Colorado College, Nodak, and they also had to beat Denver on top of that to clinch and make it in, so they kind of snuck in there as well. They really boosted their pairwise rankings. And with their win and Cornell's win in the ECAC tournament, they bumped Colorado College out of the NCAA tournament. A lot of people were probably going to say, oh, maybe Colorado College should have been there. They missed out by .0004 pairwise points, which is really pretty tiny when you think about it in any sort of respect. But to the people that are arguing for Colorado College, I would say maybe don't lose to Augustana back in October, and that, you know, they always talk about the non-conference games are just as important, if not more important, than conference games. That's the big one, because if not for that, Colorado College would be in there. But the NCHC, still 4 teams in this tournament. They're one of the best conferences in college hockey, and this just proves it. Well,
I'm going to head over to Hockey East, and it was the Battle of Boston. Well, it was a battle until it got out of hand, and it became a blowout. And BC, who's been at #1 all year, won 6-2. And Will Smith was the first ever player in history in Hockey East, in a Hockey East title game, to score 4 goals. And you have players like Gabe Perreault, Will Smith, as we already said. And it's just Macklin Celebrini, all those players, Cutter Gauthier as well. I mean, they're just so good. There's so much NHL talent, and I don't know how they can possibly lose. I mean, obviously, anything's possible, but they're making a really good run here, and I think they're going to make the Final Four. Now, let's segue into the brackets. Up first, we have the Providence region. Anthony, take it away.
Well, you just mentioned Boston College. I'm going to talk about Boston College because there's a lot of good teams playing in this Providence part of the bracket, and they're the #1 team in the nation, #1 seed for a reason. As you mentioned, that young freshman group of Gabe Perreault, Ryan Leonard, and Will Smith have a combined almost 180 points on the year. That's phenomenal. Cutter Gauthier, obviously, 35 points on the year. Ducks fans, you're going to love what you see with that guy. And Jacob Fowler, you think a high-scoring offense lets in a lot of goals? No, they don't, because Jacob Fowler is a brick wall in net as well. Don't go on the power play against this team. You can't really win against the Eagles when the offense is clicking just as well. That you want to move down to Michigan Tech as well. Do you think they're going to come into this tournament with a little chip on their shoulder after their very short run last year where they got met by Penn State and they didn't really handle that all too well? Blake Piatola, the goaltender, graduate student, he's been there for 5 years. They really count on him to be the backbone of this team with the other Piatola brothers as well. They can make some noise. If anyone's going to stop a high-powered Boston College offense, it's Blake Piatola and that stubborn Michigan Tech defense. And going below that bracket, Wisconsin and Quinnipiac, 2 phenomenal programs full of Hobey Baker talent like Kyle McClellan. I think he's the best goaltender in the league, going up against a guy from Quinnipiac like Colin Graff, who, you know, was a Hobey Baker finalist last year, repeats it again this year. He's going to work, and you better hope that Wisconsin is upset about that Ohio State series, because if they're going to come into this tournament with some anger and some feistiness, you can see Wisconsin making it all the way to St. Paul.
Yeah, I've been saying all year long that I think Wisconsin really has the chance this year with Mike Hastings and the new under helm and all those Minnesota State transfers. They can make a deep run. But I'm going to go over to the Springfield region. And this Springfield region is kind of like me and Desher, yin and yang today. The best offense in the nation and the best defense in the nation. We'll start with the offense, Denver. 4.79 goals per game, led by Jack Devine, sixth in the nation in points. Also, this guy, you're pretty familiar with him, Anthony Desher, Massimo Rizzo. He unfortunately has been out with an injury since February. Maybe he'll come back for this tournament we'll have to see. And then you move down to Cornell. 1.79 goals against this year, led by Ian Shane. He's a guy that has a .922 save percentage. Those two teams meet up in that regional final. Who's going to win, offense or defense, we don't know, but they have to get through UMass and Maine first. For UMass, this team just barely snuck in because of what happened with Colorado College and Cornell winning their tournament we already talked about. This is a team that is really led by Canes prospect Scott Morrow. Other than that, I don't know if they can really give Denver that big of a challenge. Denver is one of the best teams in the country. They won a national championship a few years ago, led by Bobby Brink. They're a team that's looking to do it again very soon. They could do it this year. And then for the Maine Black Bears, what a fun team to watch, led by the Nadeau brothers. 91 combined points between those two. If there's any team that can put up enough goals to beat Cornell and beat Shane, it's going to be the Maine Black Bears.
Well, Anthony, you already talked about BC, so why don't you talk about BU's side of the bracket?
Well, BU, I mean, they just lost to BC, and I talk about coming into the tournament with a chip on their shoulder. They better do exactly that because they have the youngest player in college hockey, Macklin Celebrini, but he's one of the best. He's top 3 in the entire nation of points. They also have a guy on the blue line named Lane Hudson. I don't know if you heard about him, but he's pretty dang good. And you also look at RIT with their first conference win since 2016. They are stubborn on defense. They don't let in goals. I think they have a good chance against Boston University, but how long can they just stay in there? The bottom of the bracket, Minnesota. They're a tournament team. Justin Close, he's been there before. He's an older guy. And you also have the top 6 with Rhett Pitlick and Oliver Moore, Jimmy Snugger. The list goes on and on and on with the Golden Gophers. They are built for these tournaments. And Omaha, Josh, that why not us attitude that they have, beating those teams that you just mentioned, if they can just carry on what they're doing, they could beat anybody. And Minnesota is a great matchup for them because Minnesota, they lost in the tournament in the Big Ten. Omaha won. Who do you think is going in here with some more momentum?
And best for last, we have the crazy Maryland Heights region with not only Michigan State, but Western Michigan and the Michigan Wolverines. Josh, how excited are you for this? Because I know I'm really excited for this.
I'm really excited about these. You have 4 great teams in this region. What I'm not excited about is that they're being stuck in an arena that holds 2,600 fans when the majority of these teams bring in 6,000, 11,000 fans normally. And you mentioned Michigan, Michigan State, Western Michigan. What about the powerhouse, the dogs that are NODAC? North Dakota Fighting Hawks are one of the best teams in the nation. They've been all season long, led by another Canes prospect, Jackson Blake. His 100 points in his first 2 seasons, he's the first North Dakota player to do so in 20 years. The guy that did that for NODAC was pretty good at hockey himself. And so for the Fighting Hawks and for them, they're going to be led by Jackson Blake. They're a team that's so talented all in all. And I think that realistically, it's going to come down to how can Trey Augustine, the goaltender that you already mentioned for the Spartans, figure things out and beat the Fighting Hawks. If he can do so, if he can stop those goals, then Michigan State will probably end up winning that region. But North Dakota is just such a good team.
I completely agree with you, and I'm really excited for this region. It's going to be a gauntlet. That's all the time we have today, but please make sure you tell us your picks down below in the comments. For Josh Bartosik and Anthony Desher, I'm Matt Becker, and you're watching Penn State Sports Night.
Hey everybody, thanks for tuning into this edition of Penn State Sports Night.
For more content like this, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, give us a like, and follow our socials down below.
And as always, we are
Penn State Sports Night.